Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Renaissance gaming production. I am bringing you Civilization 4. It's an excellent game. I used to play it way back in the day, and it's one of those that you start playing and the next thing you know it's 6 a.m. in the morning and you realize you gotta go to work and that you're screwed, but you had a ton of fun. And that's the whole point. So I'm not really sure what I want to do with this series, but for now I'm just gonna play a game and we'll see what happens. I might play multiple rounds and just keep it as an ongoing series. I don't know. This is actually a bit of a challenge for me because if you know my channel, you know that I like to really spend time with a game and do it 100%. You know, that's not really one of these types of games that you can really get into and 100% per se. And it's also one of these games that I'm not very good at. Again, it's been years since I've played and there are so many intricacies to it that it can get very complex. So this is a challenge for me in the sense that I always like to be an expert in the games that I record. I am not an expert in this one, and I thought about just practicing for weeks and weeks before recording anything, but I realized that that's just going to cripple me, and it's a way for me to step outside of my comfort zone for this channel to do something that I'm not necessarily an expert in. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a game in pretty low difficulty and just kind of go with the flow. I'll take some hints from you guys in the comments, and then I'll play some additional rounds in the future, hopefully advancing through the difficulty levels, and hopefully I can do one game at the highest difficulty at one point. Maybe that will be my goal. But for now, let's go ahead and do play now. This is the Beyond the Sword expansion, by the way. There are several expansions for this game. There's the Warlords expansion, and then there's the Beyond the Sword expansion, which adds even more stuff to the game. And then there is another expansion that kind of changes the game a lot. The colonial expansion, I forgot what it's called. But basically the expansion that just adds new things to the game, which are fun to play with. So here we go. So whenever selecting the map, I like Fractal because it's basically unpredictable. That way you can get anything. And then I'm going to set the sea level to medium, temperature to temperate. And I like playing on the huge maps because I like having a lot of different civilizations. I always find that to be a lot more fun. And then I am going to just be picking a random civilization. Not really going to know what I'm getting myself into. So we will see. And I really don't know much about the difficulties. I just know that once you start getting to Prince, Monarch, it gets pretty challenging. So again, I don't remember how to play the game. I really only know the very basics. So I think I am just going to stick with Chieftain, maybe? And just see what happens. Alright. So I am the Arabian Empire, the Saladin. And several things you want to look at on this screen are: number one, you want to look at your unique units. I have the Camel Archer, which is the equivalent of a knight. So that's more towards the mid-game area. Let's take a look at this. So you do need horseback riding, archery, and guilds. Guilds is more of a medieval era technology. And obviously I'm assuming I'm going to need access to horses, even though this is really a camel rider. But anyways, so you know, this is more towards mid-game, and I don't think it's going to be very useful, quite honest. And then my starting technologies are mysticism, so I can construct monuments which help build the culture of your city, and it can lead to the wonder Stonehenge. And then I also start with the wheel, which is good because it can lead to pottery, which is an excellent technology for building cottages, which is a great boon to your economy. And then each leader also has specific qualities, like he is spiritual and protective. And again, I'm not too sure what these entail exactly, but they do give you certain benefits, and that's just something I'm going to have to read up on. So let's do this. The sun rises on the year 4000 BC. Since time immemorial, the Arabian people have lived a nomadic life. After years of wandering, they are ready to settle down and found your first city. Gabriel, your people have vested absolute power in you, trusting that you can build a civilization to stand the test of time. So for all you civilization experts out there, this is going to be a very slow-paced game because I'm actually going to be talking through my actions in hopes that some of you guys in the comments will teach me things for the next round that I play. And again, I'm not an expert, so this is just going to move a bit slower as I try to think through things and go from there. So one thing that I like to do is turn on the grid so I can see exactly what each grid is giving me. And I also like to turn on the resource display so I can see what sort of resources I am working with. So I have a warrior. The warrior is good for exploring the area. Alright, so this is all forest grassland. And plains. Okay. So these are pretty good. These floodplain tiles are pretty decent. They are good for a nice economy. So what I'm going to do with the warrior is I'm just going to send them down and to start exploring. See what's around me. So there are lots of floodplains around here. The settler is the person you use to build your city. And, you know, things you want to look for are the different types of tiles. You want resources. So the cow is a great resource because it gives you plenty of food so that you can start growing. And this is actually a pretty decent area. Anywhere near a river is going to be good because you're going to have fresh water. You're going to have lots of floodplains that give a lot of food and commerce. So those are all good things. I'm not an expert in picking locations to start a city. I'm not sure if I want to start right where I am. There's lots of forest here, which is not crazy, but I don't know. I'm thinking about coming down a little bit, honestly, wasting a turn, but kind of building more along right where my warrior is. The reason I say that is it still gives me access to the cows. It moves me a little bit closer to these floodplains. I still have some good production here from the forests. I'm thinking, I don't know, there's just so much forest here, which could be good because when you chop down a forest, you actually get some production towards whatever you're building in your city. So if you have a lot of forest, it's actually beneficial if you want to go for something like an early wander, because the wanders take a lot of time to build, but if you're chopping forest to kind of fuel that, then it can be helpful. So I am hit with a little bit of indecision paralysis here. And, man, what do I want to do? Do I want to move down a little bit? I think I'm going to move down over here. That's actually going to waste a lot of turns. 2 turns, and you guys are probably cringing right now at the screen. Some of you guys who are more familiar with the game. But you know what? I don't care. I'm going to build my city here in the next turn. And we'll just kind of see what happens. Alright, so we have found a city, and this is the city of Mecca. Alright, and basically, we need to already determine what we want to do in terms of starting. I usually like to start with a worker. The worker is nice because they can start improving some of these tiles. They can build a pasture, for example, or they can start building cottages and things of that sort. And this is good too because I have a pig here, so this is going to give me lots of food resources. So what would be nice is also a monument, because monument will start pushing out your city borders because it's producing a lot of culture. But, you know, I think I'm going to let that build naturally over time, and I'm just going to start with a worker for now. And, you know, it looks like there's going to be some mountains here. I might even want to just start exploring to the west, honestly. I'll kind of go around the mountain range here, so I can explore a little bit further south and then to the west. I'm hoping there's going to be lots of copper and stone resources around here, ideally. So, what would I like to research? Pottery would be good, because it allows me to build a cottage, which is going to be important. Animal husbandry is also important because It can allow me to build pasture for these cows and these pigs here. Mining is also going to be important. I want to push towards bronze working pretty quickly, but I don't know. I think I am inclined to start with animal husbandry, so I can start taking advantage of this pasture and push an early growth. That is what I'm hoping for. So there's a few resources here. Silk. It's not really the best early game resource. So, I don't know. Let me just kind of ignore for now. I'm going to keep mapping things out. I'm interested in possibly expanding towards this area for my second city. So there's some rice there, which is a reasonable food resource. So there's definitely potential for me to build a second city around here. You know, I'll get all these floodplains next to the river, and I'll also have rice guaranteed. And you know, with this pig farm, I could even talk about going east instead of west, but I am curious to keep exploring this area for now and look for some potential cities. So that's good. There's some elephants here that will give me ivory, and that'll be pretty helpful. And looks like my borders have already expanded with some culture, so I already have access to both of these tiles here. So I am definitely glad that I went into animal husbandry, because I can start working these right away. And that's just going to give me a lot of growth early on. And I'm just going to, you know, this northwest area seems promising. I'm going to keep pushing that way. Lots of elephants, which is good. So there are some lions here, and if you hold Alt and hover over a unit, you get your combat odds of winning. So you can see I have a 98.9% chance of winning this. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the preemptive attack here and attack these lions, and hopefully get some good experience. So they actually attacked me, but that's alright.
Blessed shall be the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
Okay, so now I can build a pasture, and it also reveals horses, so maybe some horse resources will be available up here, and it also leads to a couple more technologies. So the pasture is good because it basically, see, so for example, if I have the cow, you get 1 extra food and 2 extra production. The pig, you get 3 extra food, so it really is pretty helpful. So, what would I like to research next? I would like to see the big picture here and see what I'm building towards. And really, I think I want to go mining. That way I can get an early bronze working. I want to be able to reveal some of these copper resources so I can start working on those and build an early military. With the map being huge, I'm expecting there to be lots of competitors around me, and I'm expecting to get into an early war. That being said, pottery can also be a good second option here, because that will allow me to build cottages, which will be great for starting my economy. But I'm going to go with the mining for now. And as soon as I have this worker ready, I will be able to start building pastures. Now, it's also important to know that once you're building workers or settlers, your city is not growing, so you know, it's a little bit disadvantageous in that sense. So these are all good. I'm in a very good starting position. You know, there's lots of food resources. I can really settle all around here and be quite happy. I'm going to stop going west because it's starting to look like jungle. And that's just something I don't want to deal with, especially before I have iron. Because you can't chop down jungle without iron. So I'm going to start focusing more towards the north here, on the north side of this river, and see if there's anything interesting that way. And looks like there's some hills here. It might be a good area for production. There are horses. That's great. So You know, maybe a city right here would be pretty good. I'd have food, ivory, horses, and I would have access to some hills, which would give me decent production. It would be a good location for a military city, maybe. So I got some bears here. And my chance of winning is a little bit lower, as you can see, 76.1. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to fortify here, give myself a defensive bonus, and anticipate that maybe they'll try to attack me. And we'll kind of see what happens with that. And they did, so I got that defensive bonus to increase my chance of winning a little bit.
The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones.
Okay. So now I have that. And bronze working would take me 11 turns, or I could go straight into pottery. I'm going to go ahead and get on the bronze working right away. And I can upgrade my unit here. I'm going to go ahead, since I'm going to be using this unit mainly for exploration, I'm going to take this woodsman upgrade for plus 20% jungle defense and forest defense. And I'm going to let them heal up a little bit before I continue exploring. And my worker is finally ready, which is great. Now I'm wondering what I want to do next. I could build another warrior to at least protect the city. But I'm also tempted to go ahead and just get another settler, because there are so many good opportunities here for a second city that I think I want to get a second city up and going right away. So I'm going to go ahead and make a settler. And again, my city, unfortunately, is not going to be growing while I'm doing that. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I am going to send my worker up here to start building a pasture where this cow is. I am very intrigued because it looks like I might get some more production stuff here. I'm hopeful that once I finish bronze working, there's actually going to be a lot of copper around me, which is going to give me a strong early start to the game. Alright, so my worker, I'm going to have him build a pasture. And these little villages here, they do give you certain things if you step on them with a unit. So let me see what I'll be able to get out of it. Sometimes you get a technology, which is really nice. Other times they give you gold. Other times they actually attack you if you're searching it with a warrior. So Hinduism has been founded in a distant land, but the villagers actually gave me a settler, which is great. But the only problem is now I'm kind of stuck with this. And dang, I wish I could have. I wish I could take back building a settler here, but that's alright. Maybe we will just jump straight into 3 cities, which will be kind of crazy. And I'm actually intrigued. You know, the game tries to give you a good idea of where you may want to build a city. And, you know, they put a circle here. And usually, you know, they don't give you the best advice. But this is actually pretty reasonable because I'll have a pasture here. As the borders expand, I might have access to ivory. And then also have these horses here. And then also have some floodplains available. So that's actually a pretty decent location for my second city. And I think I'm going to go there. There's also lots of hills here that I can exploit for production. This could really be a strong military city. Now, I know in higher difficulties of the game, you never want to have your settlers unescorted like I'm doing. But I feel pretty comfortable with that right now. Just because it's a pretty low difficulty. Oh, and this is just excellent because I got corn here. So this is a very good location for me. And I just have to make sure these lions don't eat my settlers. That would be pretty bad. And let me see what I can do here. My odds of winning are pretty high here. I'm going to go ahead and fortify because I can't move anymore. But hopefully these lions will attack me instead of trying to go over for my settlers. That would be catastrophic. And thankfully they did exactly what I wanted them to do. Oh, but that's not good. And that's exactly what I was talking about. You know, you never want to have your settlers unescorted. That was a mistake on my part. I got cocky, like I said. I thought I was playing a low difficulty and didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff, but this lion definitely outmaneuvered me, and so I lost the advantage I got from that village. But at the same time, I got these settlers going, so hopefully I can settle there pretty quickly thereafter. Let me heal up my warriors. God, that's unfortunate. That would have given me a really strong early start. Look at all these resources here. Ah, well. Okay. So my worker finished building this pasture. Now, in order to get the benefit from the cattle, what I'll have to do is build a road back to my city. So let me do that. And looks like I've met my first civilization here. And this is Ragnar of the Viking Empire. Hail and well met, Gabriel. I am Ragnar, ruler of the glorious Vikings. So tell me, does Arabia have lots of riches and unprotected coastal cities, or what? So, I believe he's a bit more of a aggressive leader, so we might be leaning towards an early war. And if our borders are close, if he tries to grab this prime city location, that's going to make me pretty mad. I'm hoping these lions will actually take him out. Take out his scout. Okay. Man, that's unfortunate. If I could have had that city right then and there, that would have been so excellent. There's lots of jungle here to the north, which is not too interesting. I might have to start exploring a little this way, honestly. Let me just review a few more tiles this way, because I may want to build another city around here somewhere.
It is entirely seemly for a young man killed in battle to lie mangled by the bronze spear. In his death, all things appear fair.
So bronze working is a very important early technology because I can chop down forests, like I mentioned, to speed up production in a city. It also reveals copper, which is a key resource for early military, enables slavery, and it also leads to ironworking and metal casting. Now, slavery is a form of civic for your city, basically. So let me read about it. Slavery is a system whereby some people are judged far inferior to others and are treated as objects or possessions with no more rights than those afforded to chairs or castle. Slavery has existed as long as human history, from the earliest primitive time to the enlightened days of Greece and Rome, and right up until today. Sometimes convicted criminals were made into slaves. Sometimes captured enemies of the state were enslaved. Sometimes people of a specific race or coloration were enslaved. In some civilizations, a person could purchase their freedom or were allotted it after being enslaved for a specific period of time. The advantage of slavery is that it allows people to be forced to do jobs that they would otherwise refuse to do without adequate compensation. Cheap labor results in concentration of wealth and thus the creation of great buildings and temples or the maintenance of large professional armies. Aside from its basic moral repugnance, the disadvantages of slavery are numerous. It corrupts both slave and master, it badly underutilizes the intelligence and creativity of the subject people, and it almost inevitably leads to revolt and internal strife. So for this first playthrough of the game, I might be doing a little bit more reading. It's going to be more slow-paced as I'm learning the game, but you know, in the subsequent playthroughs, we'll kind of go through a little bit more quickly. Basically, what slavery does is you can sacrifice a population to finish production in a city in case you're in a pinch. Right now it's not going to help me much because my city's still one population, so I'm not going to go ahead and implement this yet. However, I am going to start working on pottery. That way I can start building cottages. And now you can see I've connected the pasture with my city with a road. So now congratulations, you have gained access to your first food resource, cow. This resource will raise health level in all cities connected to your capital, encouraging faster growth. So that's a pretty nice advantage there. So what I could do is I'm gonna go ahead and start working on these pigs, and then hopefully pottery will be finished by then and I can start building some cottages in these areas. So let me send my worker over here for now. And where's my warrior? Did I lose track of my warrior? There are little tricks. Oh, there he is. Okay. Let me actually go all the way over there and just kind of see what happens. Let me build a pasture here. And looks like there are some bears. And I am just going to... What should I do? Do I want to fight them for the experience? I don't think I really need to. I'm just going to keep going that way. And exploring. Although I really feel like I should kill these lions. Because I am going to want to settle right where they are. And I do need to avenge my workers, basically. But they're on a hill, so they're a little bit more defended. My odds of winning are still 98.9% though, so I'll go ahead and attack them. I don't mind. But they actually beat me to the punch and attacked me. And looks like I've met my second empire, Elizabeth of the English Empire. Welcome to my palace, Gabriel. I am Elizabeth, the wise and really quite beautiful leader of the mighty England. Let there be peace between us, or we'll kill you. Alright. So where exactly did we meet the English? I don't really see where they came into view. That's okay. Man, I really want to build a city right here. That is a really good spot. All these hills, all these resources. I might actually plot myself on this forest, and I really do want to take care of some of these animals here because I don't want to have to worry about my settler because he's almost ready, honestly. So let me see what my chances are. 76.1, not the best. I am going to fortify myself in the forest because, again, I do get an advantage in the forest. Hopefully the bears will attack me. And they did. And, oh my gosh, if I lose this... Okay. I took some casualties, but no problem. I'm gonna get Woodsman 2, and I'm gonna heal up. It looks like there's some British warriors there. Completed my pasture. Let me road this to the city so I can get access to the actual resource. And my settler is ready, thankfully. And now I am not sure what I want to do. I think I'm going to work on another warrior. I don't know. Should I do another warrior? I'm going to go ahead and... Man. Okay, I'm going to do another warrior for now. And I'm going to give my city a little bit of a chance to grow. And I am going to send my settlers up here, escorted by my warriors. And I'm going to found that second city. That is going to be key.
Hath not the potter power over the clay to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor?
Alright, so now I can finally build cottages and granary. Granary is an excellent building. So it stores 50% of food after growth, which is great. And then corn, rice, and wheat I'll also get 1 health from. So I'm going to be utilizing that in the second city. So double production speed for expansive leaders. Okay. So let me read a little bit about it. They store food and help increase the city's growth rate. They add additional health if your civ has access to corn, wheat, or rice. All right. Early humans were nomadics, settling in specific regions only for brief periods of time. When the food supply was exhausted in one area, the nomads would move and search for more. Cities became possible only when the development of agriculture made the supply of food more abundant and dependable. However, cities still needed a way to keep the food supply stable throughout all 4 seasons. To do so, the citizens had to come up with a way to store seasonal crops for later use. The granary was designed for the storage and protection of surplus food. Food storage technology meant that a smaller percentage of the population could produce and store enough food for everyone, allowing the remainder to pursue other jobs and activities. So once your population rises, you actually retain 50% of the food, so it's really good for growth. Is basically what we're getting at here. So the question is, what do I want to go into next? Might want to go into masonry so I can start exploiting some of those hills up here. Yeah. I think that's a decent one. Or writing, which would enable me to construct libraries to speed up the research, which would be good. So I'm not really sure. I don't know. I'm going to go with the masonry. Okay. I am going to move my warrior up here. And I am going to move my settlers up there as well. That way I can finally found that second city. And it looks like there are people just moving in on this area. So I really do want to get that city going as soon as possible. Looks like I got Mansa Musa of the Malinese Empire. Welcome, Gabriel. I, Mansa Musa, humble ruler of the Mali, offer my hand to you in friendship. Alright. So I definitely want to build my city here. And these warriors... I'm going to explore a little bit to the east and kind of see what happens. And it looks like I have founded the city of Medina. So I'm going to have to push out these borders and hopefully gain access to some of these resources. One way to push out the borders is actually to build a monument. And I'm not sure if I really want to invest 15 turns into that. Or what should I do here? This is definitely going to be more of a military city with a production, I think. So, I'm definitely going to want some barracks at some point. I could use another worker because there's going to be a lot of development that's going to need to happen. So I really am kind of stuck here with what I want to do. The Stonehenge is also kind of interesting because you get a free monument in every city, which is very helpful. That way I can really kind of grow. But that is 60 turns, as you can see. But if I can use some workers to start chopping down these forests, then that will kind of build by itself, really. So I definitely don't want to go for a monument if I plan on building Stonehenge, but at the same time, only one Stonehenge can be built since it's a wonder. So if any other civilization beats me to it, that's a lot of resources that I've lost investment in. I am kind of intrigued by the idea of going for a Stonehenge. However, I don't have access to stone. And I'm afraid another civilization has access to stone, allowing them to build this a lot quicker. So this is a risky maneuver. I think what I will do is I'm going to go for another worker. I don't know. Should I go for another worker? I really want to push out the border and start getting access to these. I'm going to go for another worker. I really do need another one. Okay. So, this is my worker here. And this is a floodplain. I'm going to go ahead and build a cottage here. That'll be good. Let me go to my city view here. I only have one population and they're working that tile pretty hard because it's got a lot of food. That's pretty reasonable. Alright. Okay. So I should probably go ahead and adopt slavery. And I forgot where all these menus are. So tribalism is low upkeep, but so is slavery, and I can sacrifice a population. I might as well do the revolution. It will take 1 turn of anarchy, which means basically my cities aren't doing anything for 1 turn. But then we can just go ahead and use that to our advantage. Now, one thing that I should have noticed earlier is that even though I have the bronze working, there's no evidence of any copper around me, which is a problem. Because we are going to need that sort of resource early on. Maybe down here towards all these hills, I will find something. There's some rice. And now I'm starting to get a little far away from my other cities. So really, might check out over here. But I don't want to get too carried away. So I have trained these warriors here. And as you can see, since I do have a lot of production, the Stonehenge would only be 30 turns. But still, I'm a little reluctant to put that much investment into something like that. There's some wine here. I don't know, I'm kind of intrigued by the idea of building Stonehenge. I think I'm gonna go for it, and I'm going to start chopping some wood to try and speed that up. I'm gonna use this warrior as a scout. I can afford to do that in these lower difficulty levels. In higher difficulty, you really have to utilize your units to protect yourself from barbarian invasions, so on and so forth.
It is from their foes, not their friends, that cities learn the lesson of building high walls.
So I can definitely start building a quarry, which is good. So the quarry gives you +1 production. And that's pretty it. Hopefully if we get some stone or marble, that's even better. But I don't really see any of those things yet. I am going to go ahead and research writing next. Then my worker has built this cottage. And so what I can do is I can really start chopping down some of these trees. Especially near the river. And that's going to help my Stonehenge come along. So these lines... Oh my gosh. Better not lose that. There we go. So sometimes these pop-ups happen and they try to tell you what to do. And I am seeing some barbarians here, and maybe I should learn my lesson, right? Last time I mentioned that I shouldn't worry about my settlers getting attacked. They got eaten by lions. And then I tell you guys that I'm not worried about my cities getting attacked by barbarians. And here there are some at the gates. So I'm actually going to move these warriors in a more protective position. I'm gonna go ahead and chop down this forest, and I'm gonna allow this warrior unit to heal up, and I'm gonna keep a very close eye on these barbarians. Okay, because my cities are virtually unprotected, as you can see, and I'm taking these risks just because I know that I'm playing on a lower difficulty. Normally would never recommend the playstyle that I'm adopting right now. I'm going to push out this way, I guess. That's not originally what I had intended, but, you know. So let's see, we got Stonehenge coming out in 14 turns. Interesting. So the white circle tiles are all the ones that are being worked currently. So this is all pretty good. So I am going to continue chopping down these forests. I really just want to push for the Stonehenge. That'll be a big advantage. There's some spices here, not too helpful in the early game. I know my movement has not been very efficient. I do understand that. But I'm trying my best. Alright, so these guys are up and running. So this is an interesting location too. If there's some resources here, I don't know, it might be a decent city location. But I don't want to be too far away from my main empire. So let me actually go through these mountains and see what happens. Now, another thing that I want to do is I want to connect my two cities together with a road. That way they all have access to the same thing. However, I do really want to push hard for the Stonehenge, so I am basically just chopping down stuff for now. And then I'm going to connect the cities, get some of these tiles developed, so on and so forth. So, Mansa Musa wants open borders. I'll go ahead and agree with that.
True glory consists in doing what deserves to be written, in writing what deserves to be read.
Alright, so we got some open borders here. Excellent. Alright, so what do I want to do next? So this will lead to archery, which would be good. Polytheism. I think I'm going to go for hunting. It's kind of like a necessary evil, so you can start opening up some of the military aspects. Thankfully, I don't really see any early conflicts developing around me. This is a very peaceful area, so I can actually focus a bit more on growth compared to military for now. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and start chopping this down. Then Ragnar wants open borders as well. I'll go ahead and let that happen. Got my worker. I'm going to chop this down. And I have entered the classical era. Excellent.
If in other sciences we should arrive at certainty without doubt and truth without error, it behooves us to place the foundations of knowledge in mathematics.
So this is excellent. My scout warrior actually stepped into a village and they gave me mathematics, which is a pretty expensive research technology that takes a while to research. And look at this. Workers produce 50% more production from chopping. So all this wood that I'm going to chop is going to build my Stonehenge even faster. So that was very lucky of me, and I am very grateful for that. And I should be able to pump out the Stonehenge, and my culture is going to soar based on that. And that is just really going to be good. I am very pleased. I am not seeing much here in terms of growth. I should probably start getting a third city up and going pretty soon, and honestly, I'm not entirely sure where I want to put that. I'm thinking maybe here. This could be a nice production city with all these floodplains, rice. I got a luxury resource. There's some mines here. So this may be a good location for my third city. Right on this tile here, honestly. Or somewhere around here, you know, with this ivory and elephants. This may be a decent location as well. Maybe somewhere around here. I don't know. Or here. Maybe even here. That way I can get the rice, that, some of that. But then, I don't know. Have not decided yet. We got Otto von Bismarck. Germany, the great and its superior people greet you. I, Bismarck, desire peace with all my neighbors, even with your puny culture. Well, alright. Okay. So, I'm actually the second greatest civilization as of right now, which is, you know, it doesn't really mean much in the early game, quite honestly, but it's good to know that I'm at least keeping pace. So, we finish a worker. And I'm thinking that I should go ahead and... what should I do? I'm gonna go ahead and build a warrior. I know that may seem a little silly, but I do have a plan for what I'm doing. Now, this jungle is starting to encroach, and I'm gonna have to take care of it. So I need to research ironworking as well, but for now, let me develop this into a pasture. Okay, and I got some production here out of that. Let me return to the city.
If you chase 2 rabbits, you will lose them both.
Alright, so now I can build a camp. This leads to archery and animal husbandry, which I've already developed. So I might have to do ironworking, because I really need to start clearing the jungle, so I'm actually going to do that. And I went ahead and completed Stonehenge, so the gamble paid off. This is excellent. The first world wonder. So there it is. Stonehenge. Excellent. Okay. Cool. So I've completed Stonehenge. And again, what that's going to do is it's going to give me a monument in every city. So that's really going to allow me to push out my culture and expand my borders. That is going to be very nice. With that extended growth, I think what would be helpful is actually a granary. So I'm going to establish a granary. So what I'm going to do with this worker is I'm going to connect my 2 cities. That way I can start sharing resources. This rice opened up, so I mean, I'm getting pretty decent stuff here. Looks like I found some copper, which is going to be very important. So hopefully, as my borders push out a little bit further, I should be able to get that. Or I could even build a 3rd city somewhere around here. But I haven't decided where I want to build yet. Nothing too interesting down in this area, quite honestly. And it looks like the Persian Empire is also in play here. Greeting, O wise ruler of the Arabian peoples. Persia is strong. Shall we continue? Shall we count on you among our friends or amongst our enemies? You know, historically, the Saudi Arabians and the Persians don't get along too well, but hopefully that will not be the case in this game. Okay. So what am I going to want to do here? Trying to look for some floodplains that are out there. Basically, I guess I'll just connect the horses here to the city for now with that worker. So, my citizens are dissatisfied in this city for some reason, and I'm actually not sure how to even look at this in terms of how. It's too crowded, and they fear for our safety, so they do want military protection, so I probably could get one of my warriors to come back here. Okay. So I'll need to do that. I'll need to get a warrior back here. Okay, so trying to think about what I want to do here. I need to push out this border a little bit so that I can start having access to these resources. What I could do is actually send this guy all the way down here to start working on that, and then I'll just kind of trade spots between these two workers. So this granary is completed, and then the madrasa replaces the library for the Arabian culture, so that could be helpful. However, I am intrigued by the idea of building a settler and founding a third city somewhere over here, which is, I think, is what I'll do. So let me go ahead and build a settler. And then I'm actually going to recall this warrior. I've done enough scouting around me for now, so I'm going to just kind of put him in a more protective stance. There are some barbarians here that are kind of worrisome. And I finished a warrior in Medina. And I'm really not sure how I want to handle this. I think I'm gonna... No, I don't want to build another worker because I want the city to grow. And I can build chariots, which is actually really good. I do want to build the granary, but that's 30. That's pretty crazy. I think I'm going to build barracks because I think this is going to be a highly productive city for my military based on some of the hills up here. So I'm going to go ahead and build some barracks. So now our capitals are connected and share resources. And I've got the horses, excellent. And I got warriors. I'm going to go ahead and just fortify this town. Okay. And let me see what my chances of killing this warrior would be. It's an 87% chance. That's a risk I'm willing to take. I did do well by it, so that's good. I'm gonna go ahead and chop down this area to kind of help build those barracks a little bit faster. That way I can also utilize this land a little more as well. Before I heal up with this guy, I actually want him back in the city. So that way I can stop losing, you know, my population to the unhappiness. Let me go ahead and build a farm here with the rice. Okay. I think this is going well. You know, like I mentioned, I'm not very good at this game. It's been years since I've played. I only know the very basics. I'm sure some of you guys are screaming knowing that I could have been doing a much better job, but you know, I think I'm doing all right, all things considered. I will do open borders with Bismarck. And then this warrior here. I thought I already sent him back to the city, didn't I? Maybe I didn't. Oh no, that guy is... That's different. Two different guys, okay. So... I'm actually going to explore here a little more, because if I am going to be founding a city around here, I do kind of want to know what I'm getting myself into, right? That's going to be kind of important. So this worker... Okay, so things have been pushed out now. So let me actually build a pasture here. That's going to help with some growth.
You should hammer your iron when it is glowing hot.
Okay, good. So, I can now remove jungle, which is going to be helpful in this city. And... got the swordsman. Iron's been revealed, so there's some iron up here, which is good. I am going to go ahead and get archery. That's going to be a quick research for me right now. I'm going to heal up this warrior. So there's some iron here too, so that kind of changes things. Well, as soon as these borders get pushed out a little bit more, I'll have access to that. So I'm not too intrigued of trying to throw a civilization or a new city down there. But I do kind of want to put one around here. Ideally, I want to take control of this rice, this copper, and this wine. That would be great. And then I also want that iron up there. But I'm hoping as... You know, with the Stonehenge, with the monuments, I'm hoping the culture will push the borders out fairly quickly so that I can get some of these resources without having to make new cities. Alright. So, let me just go ahead and fortify with this. And let me build this rice back to Mecca. All right. So I got this settler. So it's time to start moving them. I am thinking the Great Wall. So this prevents barbarians from entering, which is great. That would only take me 18 turns. But honestly, somebody's about to get it, I would imagine. I think I'm going to get another worker to really push this economy. But then that also prevents my city from growing. I need to let it grow a little bit, honestly. I want to build... I would like to build a cottage here. Okay. So here are my... Oh, that was the settler that I moved. Oh, that was stupid. I thought that was a worker. That was very stupid of me. Let me... So the question is, where do I want to build this? I'm thinking... God, I wish I had a little bit more fortitude in looking over here. Let me bring him back to the city, first of all. And I'm going to use this warrior to escort my settlers over here. And I kind of want to scout this out a little bit more. So I'll go ahead and do open borders with Elizabeth.
Do not throw the arrow which will return against you.
All right, so we have archery. Excellent. And next up, I think that I would like to go for... Maybe I'll go for the alphabet. No, I don't know. Maybe I'll go for polytheism. Let me do polytheism for now. All right, and these settlers, I'm just going to skip this turn because I want them to be safely escorted by my warriors. All right. So they built the pasture. And let me just route back to the city, I guess. Okay. I think this is a good stopping point. This first episode was about an hour long. I'm thinking that the subsequent episodes will be about 30 to 45 minutes each until we complete the game. So I hope you're excited about this, and I'm really hoping that you guys put lots of comments on this and really teach me a lot of things about the game, because my hope is to play multiple rounds, like I mentioned, increasing the difficulty each time. Who knows, maybe one day I'll even get to deity, and I hope that I can play multiple rounds with different win conditions, because there are different ways to win the game. You know, you can have a cultural victory, or you can have a military victory, a technology victory, so on and so forth. So, anyways, thanks for watching. See you next time.